This is part 2 to the Quest to Beat Satisfactory series. In the last episode, we managed to build the space elevator and complete phase 1. Now is the beginning to phase 2. Now in the second phase of the game, I immediately put my attention into coal power. Crafted some rotors to be able to afford the coal generators, and made my way to an area with coal. This area is abundant in coal, however a lot of it is blocked off with boulders, so there's only a couple of them that we can use for now. Coal generators only use 15 coal a minute, so with the amount of coal that's in this area, we can make enough power to last for the next phase. There we go. First bit of coal power. Once you've got your first bit of initial power, it's really easy to expand. One water extractor at default speed can power 2 coal generators. But I forgot how expensive it would be with reinforced plates, so I just started using Mark 1 conveyor belts to reduce the amount I'm using them. Now that we've got a strong start with coal, it seems fitting to be able to go with steel production, because that uses coal a lot. Because of foundries and coal generators taking a lot of rotors, it's about time I started automating them properly. There were quite a few constructors left abandoned that were making screws, so I thought to use them for a rotor assembler. I'm using the alternate recipe which takes screws and copper plates, which is quite a lot faster than the default recipe, so this will keep me going for a while. But I didn't really want to wait for the rotors to get automated, so I decided to go for a lazier approach. With the resource sink, I'm able to dump a bunch of random parts I found near wreckages and put them in the awesome sink. This will give me the tickets to just straight up buy some rotors. To explain what I'm doing here, I'm trying to place foundations deep enough into the water that I can place a water extractor on them, but being able to place coal generators on top. This will just make it easier to line up when I'm building it. This method of splitting probably isn't recommended for power, but it's the laziest and easiest one I'm familiar with. For those who might not know, there's two common methods of splitting your items. There's the manifold method and the load balancer. I know there's more, but these are the only two I'm familiar with. The load balancer evenly splits your items across all splitters, but the manifold method is the thing I'm using now. It relies on the other coal generators to overflow, causing the rest of them to spill into the next ones, until it gets to the last one. In the end, there's not much difference, it just affects how the factory is going to start. Because of me using the manifold method, you'll see the power wildly fluctuate until it gradually gets more stable. Here I'm checking the recipe for modular frames. They're going to be needed quite a lot in the future, so I thought to automate them now. I've also used in a lot of research, which I'm going to be using very soon. Modular frames are pretty easy to make, their only downside being how slow they are to produce. But let's look into that recipe a little bit more. So here we have the modular frame. The base recipe takes 3 reinforced iron plates a minute and 12 iron rods per minute. And let's look at the crafting tree for it. You can see that it's not that different to reinforced iron plates. You just add a couple more iron rods into there. But what's different about it is the numbers. If we look closely, generally iron plates are crafted at 20 per minute and iron rods at 15 per minute. This would consume 45 iron ingots per minute. Screws are also made at 40 per minute by default, which will make 5 reinforced plates per minute when you join the screws and iron plates together. However, the numbers aren't quite right for what we need. Let's change them up a little bit. You can now see that we've tripled our rate of iron plates and doubled the rate of iron rods, which has almost tripled the usage of iron ingots. We're going to make 10 reinforced iron plates per minute, and for this we need 120 screws per minute, which is why we've doubled the amount of iron rods we're making, because it only takes 10 iron rods per constructor, and they make 40 screws a minute. And you'd think we'd be swimming in modular frames at this point, but no. This is enough to make 3 assemblers making modular frames, and that's only going to give us 6 a minute. You can kind of see how the game gets harder from here. Now I'm going to shut up for a bit and let past me do the building. Wait, it only takes 3 a minute? I can probably just make 3 of these then. With one of the more tedious components in the early stage sorted, the modular frames will no longer be a problem. For now. So I think it's about time we retire the music that's playing as we get into the steel production of this video. Oh wait, I forgot. I wanted to make even more factories for reinforced iron plates. Looks like it's coming back for now. Now with two decently sized factories just for reinforced plates, they're not really going to be a problem for a while. It's going to supply us with enough plates to last until we get to the next type of belt. But now, as promised, we'll finally get into the steel production. For those of you paying too much attention to this video, you might notice something is a little bit wrong with what I'm doing, and it'll take me a little while to notice. I ran out of plates pretty quickly again, however I decided to scrap a bunch of the factory that wasn't needed anymore. It was only constructing iron plates and iron rods for storage, which I don't need anymore because I've already got 2 containers full of them. So I decided to repurpose them to make even more reinforced iron plates. This also meant restructuring the whole factory with it, but it was all for the sake of efficiency. Okay, now with no more delays, I'm finally getting into steel, for the third time. To properly start it though, I wanted to craft a bit of steel manually. A lot of the coal nodes that are near my power are covered by boulders, which can only be destroyed by nobelisks. and then I notice that no iron is coming down from this belt. Oh, I've not even turned these on, that's why they're not doing anything. Wait, I don't even need these. Oh, I'm a massive idiot. As I started to get into the steel production, I had a positive mindset about it. I thought it was going to be pretty simple, but it's not. Let's move this to the blueprints. So steel is quite an easy item to make. It just takes some iron ore and coal. However, there's much more to this resource than meets the eye. You see, by default, steel is crafted at 45 per minute, and the main components you craft from it are steel pipes and steel beams. However, steel pipes require 30 steel a minute, whereas steel beams require 60, so the numbers don't really match up very well. Well, alright, I guess I'll just double the amount of steel I'm making. Now usually this would solve all your problems, however there's even more problems behind this. Steel pipes are crafted at 20 per minute, and steel beams are crafted at 15 per minute. The problem lies in how much you need these items. Later on, you need a lot of encased industrial beams. The problem with them is that they take steel beams. How many, you ask? 18 a minute. You can kind of see why I hate steel now. So I don't even bother trying to make the numbers add up. I just try and make enough steel to compensate for whatever I want to build. And this is one of the rare times you're going to see me not care about the numbers and just build however I like. Because the numbers with this stuff is too much of a bother for my poor little head to handle. Anyways, rant over. Let's just get back to the building. The main tricky thing about this area is that I'm using all the coal in this zone for power and steel, and there's only so much coal in this area. But I do have pretty much unlimited iron nearby, so it's just the coal that's the problem. But as I add more buildings to expand on the steel production, I also need more power, using even more coal. The other nearest coal patch from here is like 2,000 meters away, which I can't be bothered to deal with. Anyway, to help with the coal problem at the steel factory, I decided to unlock the Mark II miners. And thanks to everything that's been automated, it's pretty easy to unlock. The main trouble is just going to be able to afford the Mark II miners, because they take encased industrial beams, which I haven't automated. Because they take so much damn steel. Hate it. Want it to die. But for now I just use the encased beams that I found around wreckages to be able to afford the miners. It should help enough for when I automate them anyways. Part of me really thought that unlocking power slugs and their overclocking features would really help here. And I agree now. However, I really wanted to hold on to them for when I unlock the technology to use Sommers loops to double the outputs of a machine. However, I didn't have access to that research yet, because it requires circuit boards, which also require oil, so I'll just have to wait out just a little bit longer. At least I feel like it's better for me, because previously I would just use power shards the lazy way and just put them on everything where it was lacking, but it's really not a good habit to have when building factories. And after playing this way, I find more fun in building bigger factories rather than just using power shards. With the Mark III belts, I'm able to handle much more coal on the belt at a time. The previous belts were too slow to handle a Mark II miner on normal purity of coal, so this helps dedicate entire nodes to steel processing, rather than borrowing it off the ones that's used for power. And here you get a glimpse of somewhat organised factories. I know it's hard to believe after everything you've seen so far, but this will become a more common thing later on. I find that platforms are a lot easier to manage my things on, but it'll still be built in a messy way. don't expect anything to get clean. Thankfully, just a block away from the steel factory, there is a pure nerd of concrete. This will help make the encased industrial beams I was talking about, which is also one of my most hated resources in the game, especially due to how much you need them with the next tier belt. Maybe it's just a skill issue with the way I build though. One thing I do love about watching this back, you can really see how the spaghetti starts to build up over time. At the time of recording this commentary, I've already beaten the game, so I know exactly what mess is waiting to happen, but it's just nice to see it in its early stage. I then noticed the iron ore input was suspiciously low, so I had to investigate, and it took me a long time to figure out. Like, 15 minutes to figure out. Yeah. It was just an unupgraded belt. I don't know why I pressed that button so fast, normally I'll let it wait, but I'm really sorry. I won't do it again. Okay, I did it again. I'm so sorry. I do not know what came over me at that moment. Maybe I was in a rush, maybe I was angry. I really don't know, but I won't do it again. I promise. But now with all the items coming to the main spawn area, it's about time I start base building. And for that, I need hypertubes. Now this is something I do in every single Satisfactory playthrough, and it's probably the part that I look forward to the most. I build a giant platform in the sky, and have everything go there as a giant hub. The result of that? Giant spaghetti underneath it. Many people hate it, but the spaghetti is one of my favourite things in this game. Don't get me wrong, organised factories are nice too, but I really don't have the patience to spend 10 times longer to make them look neat and tidy, when the spaghetti is all you need. And this is what the hypertube is for, just to get up to it. Now it's time to start linking everything up there. Oh, I forgot I need quartz. Another one of my favourite things about this method of playing with a giant base in the sky is that the back of it is always going to be messy. It's like a giant circuit board behind it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot why I deconstructed this factory. I guess we'll have to see why later. As of the time of recording this commentary, it has been about 2 months since I played, so I've forgotten a lot of things that's happened. And you'd think my live commentary would help me remember, but no. Because I'm really not used to live commentary, I don't speak that much in this footage. good enough for now. Now, to help with the mess I made earlier with the steel pipes and steel beams on the same conveyor belt, I've decided to make AI limiters to be able to make smart splitters. That's the only way I can think of solving it now. Ow, my frames. With the AI limiters linked and smart splitters now unlocked, the factory is progressing very quickly. But as much as I'd like to make this video an hour long, it'd never be released at a suitable time. So I'm just going to leave you with this little bit of mess I make. But in the next video, we're going to reach the end of Phase 2.